Since the launch event in London back in October 2018, I've been using the Huawei Mate 20 Pro on and off for a couple of reasons, and today I want to share with you what my final thoughts and verdict is after using this device for more than 100 days. So let's get right into it. As mentioned before, there are a couple of reasons why I do keep coming back to the Huawei Mate 20 Pro, and one of them is for sure the camera. You can find 3 features into the camera and I will discuss all of them. The first one, and you might know, is that the 3 cameras on the rear over here. One of them is a wide-angle lens that allows you to capture more without relocating yourself. During the last week in January, my girlfriend and I went to Barcelona, Spain for a nice holiday trip. What I did was I did bring the Huawei Mate 20 Pro because of the wide-angle lens. Because even though it's off-season, the major attractions like the 𝙤𝙬𝙗𝙬𝙗𝙬 and you have the Sagrada Familia, and I know I don't pronounce it correctly, but still are the major tourist attractions, and there's so many people around that it's kind of hard to take a nice picture without too many people inside or on the picture. And also you can't really capture the whole building if you use a normal lens. And if you enable the wide-angle lens, you can capture more, and in this case you can capture the whole building and the subject. There are 2 major things that I noticed with the wide-angle shots. The first one being that the colors are a little bit flat and that there's almost no contrast, and that you have to do therefore some post-edits in any kind of application that you prefer. The second one is that the camera is really searching for the right exposure level when the subject has something that creates a high contrast, for example this red coat over here. The second thing what I really like a lot in this camera is the telephoto lens, because you cannot zoom in twice like many other competitors. No, you can zoom in 3 times and even 5 times. If you like to play around with the cameras, you can create some cool looking pictures with still a decent amount of detail, like this one with your smartphone, instead of bringing your DSLR camera with zoom lens, for example. You're not getting this nice and soft bokeh effect like a real DSLR camera with a zoom lens. But I think that the best camera is always the one that you have with you or in your pocket, and in this case it's the Mate 20 Pro, and it is still nice enough that you can take a picture like this, and I think it looks pretty cool and dope, but let me know what you think in the comment section down below. It's not only about the wide-angle lens and the telephoto lens, but Huawei did also something very interesting software-wise inside of the camera application. You can take some really good and low-light night pictures. This feature captures multiple pictures at the same time with different ISO levels and also with different shutter speed times, and they blend them all together into one picture, and that captures way more detail and looks so much more vibrant than with a normal camera setting. The Huawei Mate 20 Pro is twice the price as the Mi 8 coming from another Chinese tech giant, Xiaomi. If you want to know how those cameras perform, you can find a link here in the top right corner, so make sure that you check out the camera comparison later on. Another reason why I do keep coming back to the Huawei Mate 20 Pro is its battery and everything related to the battery. During our 3-night stay in Barcelona, I used the phone a lot to play some games while traveling, to navigate around the city, to make some pictures and videos and share it on social media and even my YouTube, because we visited the Mi store, to check some reviews for some nice places to eat, and to watch some Netflix at the end of the day. And believe it or not, this phone was charged only once during our 3-night stay in Barcelona. And that is mainly because of the huge battery found inside this 4200 mAh battery, and it is a real pleasure to use. Because within 30 minutes the phone is charged a little over 65%, and charging the phone full, like from 0 to 100%, takes only 1 hour and 30 minutes, and that is just super fast because of the 42-watt charger. So the main reasons why I do keep coming back to the Huawei Mate 20 Pro is first of all the battery and the charger, and the charging times of course, and the other one is the camera. However, there are also a couple of things that are really good in general. For example, the display, it's really a pleasure to use as well. However, they also need to make some improvements. For example, in the camera application, even though it already takes some really nice pictures. The portrait mode, for example, is not perfect yet. The edges are pretty sharp as you can see, but there is no feathering happening to make it look a little bit more natural. Regarding the video, it works most of the time and the 4K video is nicely stabilized. However, the extra set of features do not always work 100% properly. For example, when you use the AI feature to blur the background with fast movements or excessive shakes, the device has difficulties to detect the edges. It's a little bit more difficult for the camera and the AI software, but still it's a nice feature. Maybe in the upcoming years it will become a little bit better. One of the very first things that I did when I received this device was to check which manufacturer is producing display. Mine is luckily BOE, and that is a good thing because you might have seen some images on the internet where people complain that their display isn't correct. It has some sort of a green edge around the display, let's say. Now luckily Huawei did replace those devices for free, but it would have been nice if this was properly tested by Huawei before releasing the Mate 20 Pro. As mentioned before in my Huawei Honor Watch Magic review that you can find here in the top right corner, more and more governments are concerned regarding Huawei's relationship and connections and ties to the Chinese government. It is up to you to decide whether or not this is a problem when buying a phone, but until it's proven otherwise, I don't see a problem as of yet. The CPU is the next generation Kirin processors and it's baked on the 7nm process by TSMC, with the Cortex A76 cores and a new Mali GPU generation, along with 6GB of RAM. I've compared the Huawei Mate 20 Pro again with the Xiaomi Mi 8, which is only half the price, regarding the speed with opening applications, CPUs, benchmarking and a whole lot more, and you can find it here in the top right corner, so make sure that you check it out after watching this video. I have to say everything is handled really quickly and smooth and everything is just blazing fast, let's say, albeit that I'm not the biggest fan of Huawei's own skin on top of it. And the first thing what I personally did was to install Nova Launcher Prime right away, because it makes it a bit more easy to customize and also a bit more calm for me personally, because I don't like all the colors and the kind of strange designed icons, so I can choose my own icon pack. Huawei also managed to build a speaker into the USB Type-C port over here. However, I'm not a really big fan of it because the sound is just too muffled, and with the occasional cable inside, it's almost impossible to use because it's just I don't even have words for it. Another thing what I don't understand is why they didn't go for the micro SD card slot over here. They installed or they introduced their own NM standard, and I'm not a really big fan of it because they launched the product but they didn't launch the SD card. I'm still calling it an SD card yet. And that is one of those things, just do it when the market is a little bit more ready, or make sure that all of your products are available right now. The other thing is that those type of cards are still kind of expensive, and I don't see the point as of now. I understand that they want to push their own standards because in the long term it's really beneficial for them, but for the consumers right now it is not the best solution. The same counts for the 3D Life Maker application and Bring Your Toys to Life. The technology still falls short a bit when capturing objects, and even more complex objects are almost impossible to do, and the app is still in fancy though. So for now it's more like a real gimmick stuff that you can barely use just to make your toys come alive. So maybe in the near future we come across more useful implementations for this. There are many features that I didn't discuss in this video as of yet, for example the waterproof, the Wi-Fi speeds, the call reception, and a whole lot more, but I think that for me personally, I keep coming back to this device mainly because of the battery and the camera as mentioned before. So I thought, why not share my thoughts of it after using and owning this device for a little bit more than 100 days, because I believe that those kind of reviews are more valuable for you and for everybody, because for example now you know better how the battery degradation is and a whole lot more. So to summarize, I think that this phone is still a beast 100 days later. But the price is still unrealistically high. We've got used to Apple charging $1,000 or more for an iPhone, but to pay that amount for a Huawei device that has currently so much controversy regarding its potential links to the Chinese government, I think it's kind of tricky, and you really have to decide for yourself whether or not you want to spend around $1,000 on a device like this. I believe that the cameras on the Huawei Mate 20 Pro are the most versatile so far, and the primary sensor is also the largest in any modern smartphone. It can capture some good pictures, but occasionally things go wrong with the portrait mode. The innovative portrait mode in video seems impressive, but it's still not working properly, and the battery is large and the battery life is especially impressive with light to medium use. But the screen seems to have high consumption compared to the rest, but luckily it is charged within no time. Both the 3D face unlock scanner and the fingerprint scanner under the display work fine, albeit that the fingerprint scanner is, for example, not the fastest that I've seen, but it's faster than my Meizu 16th, and also it is still not on the same level as the fingerprint scanners we just got used to. The display is excellent and you can always read it outdoors. Luckily my display is made by BOE and didn't cause any kind of green edge display troubles that some users experienced in the past. The CPU is the next generation and made on TSMC's 7nm process with the Cortex A76 cores and a new Mali GPU generation. Along with the 6GB of RAM, everything is handled smooth and quickly, albeit that I'm not the biggest fan of Huawei's own skin on top. With many of these things you can see the advantages and the disadvantages. For example, the software is fast, But who wants to replace the software runs into the problem that Huawei has locked the bootloader. The 3.5mm headphone jack is missing, for example, although there's a dongle in the box. There are many reasons to purchase the Mate 20 Pro, but there are also so many reasons to not buy it. For example, the price for innovation is really high, literally, because the recommended price is 999 euros, and that is high, even 100 days later. There is in and around the Huawei Mate 20 Pro enough to justify the high price, but you have to keep in mind that there are many alternatives that offer many or similar features for much less money. On the other hand, if you want to get the most innovative smartphone from 2018 and maybe even 2019, then you should definitely get this Huawei Mate 20 Pro. And that is something that we haven't said before, to get a Huawei device. Normally we always say Samsung or Apple, but for now it is the most interesting phone that you can get on the market. I hope this video gave you a really good idea of what it is with the Huawei Mate 20 Pro 100 days later. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and then I hope to see all of you in the next one.